In this tutorial, we're going to take a look at groups versus symbols. So go ahead and do the same thing. Make a next section. This is at frame 30, and make sure that you change the text and get onto your drawing layer where you won't have anything. And what we're going to do is draw a couple objects. Or a couple shapes. Now I've just created some fancy drawing right here. You can use either let's say rectangles or drawing objects. It doesn't really matter what you draw for this type of exercise. But I want to point out a couple different things. Of course, one of the things that can be annoying between shapes and drawing objects is they don't work exactly the same. Drawing objects don't cut into each other, which makes them very easy to lay on top of each other the way that you want. And shapes will cut into each other, which can be kind of confusing when you're trying to do certain types of work. So one of the things that you can do is work with groups and make sure that you don't cut into different objects like shapes do. The way that you turn shapes into groups is to select them and choose Control-G or right-click. And let's see, nope, we don't get that. So we can just do Control-G, which is group. We'll find it under Edit, let's see, Modify, Group. So there it is. We can group things that way. Now we can also modify drawing objects into groups just by selecting the two of them, then choosing Modify, Group, or Control-G, the shortcut. And you'll see they both do the same thing. They now have a bounding box, and I can move them around freely as needed. Now, one thing that should be pointed out about groups is that you can't go in and change the colors very easily. You can't just click on them and change the colors anymore. You might be able to apply fills through groups, but no, it doesn't look like you can do that either. So you have to be very careful about using groups when you want to be able to change colors easily. But what's nice about them is that they lock those two objects together so that you can't really edit them anymore. Well, you can always edit them by double-clicking on them. And when you double-click on an object, notice that all of a sudden it grays out the background. And it shows me that I'm currently inside this object. You can see I'm inside this group, which is on scene 1. So it's actually taking me into that object where I can now select the color of those objects and I can change them as needed. Then to get back to the original layer, you can click on scene 1 or just double click outside of that object or group and you're back at the main level. And you can do this with shapes as well. Double click on the shape, then single click on the colors that you want to change, then double click outside of it and you're back on the main layer. Now, how is this different from symbols? Well, in order to find out how symbols work, we're going to be spending a lot of time with symbols, but the basics of it are this. Let's click and drag and make some other type of drawing, and it doesn't really matter what it looks like for right now, just because we're just playing with it to get something that we've drawn. And I'm going to group this into a symbol. It's hard for you to see the stroke right now, and that's because even though I have a stroke on it, the stroke was the same color as the outline box, so that's why you can't see that it's selected. But it currently is, and I want to convert this to a symbol. Right-click and choose Convert to Symbol, or press F8, and this is what we're going to be doing quite a lot of. There are three types of symbols: movie clips, buttons, and graphics. We're going to use movie clips almost all the time, and we want to make sure that we name our symbols. So I'm going to call this test symbol or test box, and you'll see that now this properties of this say that it is an instance of the test box symbol. If we go and look at our library, there's now a symbol here, and we can actually use this symbol as many times as we want. To edit the symbol, double click on it just like we would something else. We can change the color, and notice that everything that is a copy of that symbol will change as well. And that's what makes symbols really powerful. You can reuse the same thing over and over and over. So make a couple groups and make a few symbols, and make sure that you name them, and then save your work and go on.